I enjoy my job very much. The best hours of my work is designing and carving. So this stage I'm just rough carving, so I'm just taking initial shapes out. Ceramics is my first love. I suppose I like it because it can be manipulated in so many different ways to do what I want it to do. I carve with both hands so you can get all the angles that you need, which makes it easier when you're doing lots of curves. My hours when I'm working on one of my sculptures are dictated by the clay that I'm working with. Different clays are more resistant to drying quickly. When I start carving into the piece, you can definitely still feel the moist in it, even though it's quite stiff. But by the end of the carving, you'll be able to see the dry clay being scraped off to get that final surface. Before I do start carving a piece, I tend to spend quite a bit of time working out which direction to carve each element of the design. By doing this, I don't make any mistakes. Over the years, I've always been asked about what happens when I make a mistake. And my answer to that is I don't make mistakes, because each process I go through is considered. People say about the design, which is mapped over a piece, does it always fit? Of course it does, because I carefully make a grid over the form that I'm working on. And then people will say, what about when you're carving, do you make a mistake? What if you knock a bit off, or what if you carved it wrong? Again, I don't make that mistake, because before I start carving, I work out how to carve each plane of the overall design so that it all works harmoniously together. I always have music on, that's important for me. Music is a big part of carving because the process is so slow. So having music on, and if I'm working late into the evening, I'll have music what will keep me stimulated to work later. Or if I'm doing like the mapping out, I'd have more classical, more kind of like calming music on to allow me to think about the measurements and how the design's mapped onto the piece. There is a restriction with clay to what you can work with in size, and with the way I work, I mean, this piece in front weighs about 82 kilos, nearly 7 bags of clay. So that's a lot of clay to be manoeuvring around, and plus with the clay, when it gets to this stage, it's very brittle. It's a very fragile material. Slide it and then lift it. It's great having two kilns, but they're both roughly the same size, which is about 24 inches square. So that's the largest I can work at. The making of the forms, or prepping the forms, is a process, a technical process, and working out the maths and mapping a form, again, is a technical process. But the carving and the design is a very enjoyable and totally creative process, and at those stages I think are the best.